most of life is in the messy middle. It's where all of the things tend to happen. It's not the exciting first flush of starting a project or starting an idea. It's not that kind of planning phase or pre-planning. It's not the research and development. It's when you get going and things get complicated, things get messy, things take time, things take longer than they maybe should, but also it's not that satisfying end place where you've dotted the T's, you dot the I's and cross the T's, you've delivered the project or it's moved on to a more kind of maintenance phase and it's out in the world or it's delivered wherever it is. And this messy middle, it's all around us. Like right now, you'll see I'm not sat in my office. So when we came back from our trip to France for nearly 6 weeks, my daughter was like, oh, I want to move from my bedroom. I don't know if you can tell from the unicorn wallpaper, but this was her bedroom, into my office at the front. It's a little bit bigger and I'm not entirely sure why she liked it, but maybe because there wasn't any unicorn wallpaper. But she wanted to move in there. So when we came home, our house was all set up. It was everything was cleared away, everything was put aside, and there was space for her to move in. We've been talking about this for a while. So I'm here surrounded by stuff that came out of the car and out of storage. So there's some there. There's a wood and tabletops over there, and that's not even the half of it. As soon as this place was emptied out and cleared out, my wife walked in and was like, oh, maybe this could be my studio. I mean, I need the most space, and it's true. She's an artist, so she needs space for her to work on her paintings. She needs places for her paintings to dry. She needs storage for all her stuff. And the room that she's in at the moment is very small, and she tends to actually work on the kitchen table and even the back. So we're still figuring out. I haven't fully moved in because she might be moving in here, and there's no point in me moving in and getting set up. So that stopped me from being able to move in because we're still in that debate, I think. And then we need to so then it's going to take even longer for me to get in and get set up. So I'm going to need to help figure that out, then help to figure out what this room could look like so she can move in here, move my stuff out so we can move her stuff in, probably build in some storage and some areas for to paint in, presumably strip the unicorn wallpaper off and paint it white, and paint this blue wall white as well. But not just that. I don't know if you can hear there's construction going on right there. My neighbours are building an extension. And they've had to move out of their house completely. So they're in this messy middle where there's a couple of builders putting up walls. There's a big hole in the side of their house. And whether you look at anything at the moment, you look at the state of AI, it's in this messy middle where it's had this interesting, exciting start, and now everyone's not sure where it's going or what it's up to. And there's everything from crazy scaremongering all the way through to complete AI fanboying going on at the moment. Or if you're a parent, you're always in this transitional phase. In my experience, as soon as you get to a stage, you go, oh, I'm starting to understand preteens. They move on to the next stage, or they change, or their friends groups change, or they change school, or something happens and there's a dynamic shift and you're not able, you spend all your time catching up. And most things in life, they're transitional and there's seasons to them as opposed to the start and the end of something. Now, as creatives, we often work in waves. So maybe we choose to write a new book or start a new album as a musician. Maybe you're going to create a collection of artwork. Whatever it might be, we tend to work in this kind of project cycle. And often they can overlap and they can take on new journeys. But there tends to be a start, a middle, and the end. And I love the start. I am very excited about the start of something new, very excited about all of those opportunities for something to begin, something to get started, that research. I love that exciting piece at the beginning. And then we move into this phase where we're maybe not entirely sure of what's next. Sometimes we don't even have a clear end goal, but we'll address that in time. And the same thing can be true of your career. The same thing can be true of like where you're journeying through your life. Like it's not a linear journey. It's not a straight line from A to B. It's a meandering road all the time, and sometimes it goes swimmingly well, and sometimes we end up reversing out of cul-de-sacs and dead ends, not knowing where that's taken us. And in terms of my own creative projects at the moment, I brought away my sampler, a little Electron Digitac, just a small box, and I worked with that. And I sat with it most nights and programmed in some musical sketches. So we're in this messy middle where I've shared some of them with my bandmates. We're excited about a couple of them, and like so much so that Patrick, the guy who does visuals for us, has already created 2 or 3 versions of visuals for even a small sketch that I sent, which was like less than 2 minutes. It looks brilliant. Like I just think that it's going to give us the impetus to keep going and create something really worthwhile. So that's exciting to be able to see some of those things. But I have so many more pieces. So as a group, we're going to sift through what's there and figure out like how do we bring that into the space where we can use it? How do myself and the other musician in the band, how do we share those roles? How are we going to add to it? How are we going to layer new things in? How are we going to create it and use it so that it can be used in a live environment? And then, of course, how do we knit that in with the visuals? How do we knit that in with our messaging? So there's a lot of stuff for the next step. But it's exciting to still be at this stage. Maybe we're still at the start, but it feels like we're now in this messy middle where I've done some of the prep and now it's turned into a lot more of us are getting involved, and it's confusing and conflicting, and we'll have to negotiate a little bit and figure out how do we get anywhere. But I just wanted to just hold my hand up and go, I totally get what it's like to be in the messy middle. And if you're in the messy middle on any of your projects or anywhere in life, I understand it. We're all there probably most of the time, more often than we actually recognize. And I think it's important to just put it out there and say it. But I wanted to give 3 really distinct ideas and strategies in terms of how to keep your head when everything seems to be falling apart or getting a bit sloppy or messy, and ways in which you can step forward. The first one, I think it's really important to hold on to the vision that started this for you. Okay, so if you, like I said, you sat down here like, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to create an album, I'm going to put out a collection of work. I think it's important to hold on to that. And I think if you've lost any of that, if that's lost its shine or you're not sure what it is, I think it's a good time to think back and go, why did I start this? What's important about this project for me? Where do I feel it's going? What have I learned since I've started? I do think as we start projects, as we think through it, we need to have a real sense of what we're doing and where we're going with it. I didn't go away to create an album because as a band, we work purely in live performances, and we will output those live performances as our finished work. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be a snapshot of something we've recorded, possibly live, that will be visuals and it'll end up on YouTube, for example, or we'll have an entire performance and that'll end up on YouTube as well, or it might end up we might press it to vinyl. but that's further down the road. That's not the specific output. Is that we would create sets of music that we can play, either stream or live in person, and that's where we're aiming to get to and move to at the moment. So it's part of having that vision and understanding where that would take us as well as it being an exploration of me just for new gear and also a new kind of soundscape as well. So that helps. So if you don't have a clear vision, I think it's important to figure one out. And that might mean just plucking one out of the air for the moment and having just a temporary one going, I want it to be an album. I think it's called Black Rainbows. I'm ready to make a change in how I do things, whatever it might be, whatever that motivating factor is, to hold on to it. Personally, this is why I love journaling and kind of being able to put the pen to paper and go, oh, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm processing. It's currently a bit frustrating, but I need to remember I'm doing it for my mental health, my well-being. For me, I wanted to learn a new piece of gear, and I feel like I've gotten so much more invested in that piece of gear, and I've produced something I really like and is inspiring new elements of creativity within our group. So it's brilliant. The second one is, don't forget that small actions add up over time. And it's way more important to make slow progress than no progress at all. Like, honestly, some nights I just sat down with my sampler and just did 10 to 15 minutes. Just enough to start a track, get a few elements in there, and then the next day I was able to kind of pick it up and carry on. And I've made some stuff that I'm proud of, but I have a whole stack, maybe 20 or 30 sketches that we'll be able to review and figure out. And if not, I'll just turn them into loops and store them back in my sampler and see when they come up again in another project. And I think a question I can ask is, what one thing could you do today to help move your project forward? And that just might be a little bit of admin, clearing things up, clearing the decks, tidying things away, a bit of file organization, whatever your project needs. Maybe starting to sort things and cull and go, this is great, this is mediocre, it's terrible, but let's see where that's going to lead us. That can often be helpful, I find. But what can you do today in 15 to 30 minutes? What could you actually do to move your project forward? And then the third and last idea. And before I even get into that, I am a creative guide and I help people in this process. I have a creative starter kit, and the link is in the description, and it's really about making space for your creativity. So how do we put down our phones? How do we remove our digital distractions? And how do we get the right type of rest so that we're freed up and ready and engaged and just able to kind of get on with work? There's a link in the description, and I'll email you a video and a checklist, and in a couple of days I'll send you on the PDF and the link to the details on the 7 types of rest. And it'll help you to create some space, but you actually have to watch the video, and you're going to have to take some steps, like deleting some apps, like putting your phone down, choosing to leave it in another room. There's lots of ways in which you can make space for yourself. But also, I'm here to help. I've got 90-minute sessions that you can book if you want to work together. I can help you to create some clarity, create some breakthrough in your creative messy middle, potentially, or anything else that you want to unpack. There's a link in the description. Take a look and see if there's a way in which I can help you out. So now for the third and final mindset shift that's going to help is set yourself a deadline. Even if it's a fake deadline, just agree it, have an idea. I'm going to have this done by the start of September, or whatever the appropriate date is. I love the quote from Douglas Adams, the author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and he says, I love deadlines. I love the swooping sound that they make as they rush by. I just think that's the best. I remember the first time I read it in the book, I was just like, yes. And you know what? I tend to not need more time. I tend to need a deadline. I tend to need something that's coming closer, something where I'm accountable, where I'm on the hook, where I've said I'd do something, and it's going to get done. Honestly, around our house when we leave for our 6-week trip to France every year, we turn our house back into an Airbnb. People have booked to come here. It's got to be perfect. You know, everything's got to be put away, everything's got to be painted, everything's got to be clean, everything's got to be organized, and it's a great reset for our house. But it does mean there's a deadline. That needs to get done. And there's another quote that I really like. It's this idea that goals are dreams with deadlines. You can have a dream, and if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a deadline, it's going to stay exactly that. Just this vague idea of, I'd love to do this thing. So set yourself a deadline. And that could be a deadline for the next phase of the project. It could be a deadline to get to a specific pace. It doesn't have to be everything's done by this date, but of course that can be the case as well. And how I was using this when I was away was I was texting my band members and saying, I'll be back at the end of July. What's everyone's availability look like for the rest of the summer so we can make sure we get together? And we've already nailed down a weekend in August. We're going to meet together. And that could be 1, 2, or 3 days of an entire weekend where we're going to work together. And same thing, we'll put ourselves at that point, we'll probably put ourselves on the hook and say, hey, we're trying to show this maybe in September or October. And we might even find ourselves, go find ourselves a gig or find ourselves a venue to go and put this up. But if nothing else, we will definitely stream it. So when that's happening, I'll share the link and you can check out what we're up to. If you want to look at it, our group's called Slow Trance. We have a YouTube channel and our last stream is up there. Really enjoyed doing that, but at this point it's nearly a year ago, so we want to get on and make some more music. Okay, that's all I've got for you today on the messy middle. If you're there, I'm sending you love and wishing you all the best. But right now YouTube is going to show you one of my other videos. But don't get distracted watching too many videos. And when you do, think about how it's going to help you, what you're going to do, and what action you're going to take. So I'm asking you, what action will you take today to help you move on in the messy middle and keep going? Okay, stay creative, and we'll see you next time.